Whether you see him as a non-speaking, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Caucasian male, or comfortably speaking, heartthrob Crazy Rich Asian Henry Golding, there's no doubt that this character has stood for over 40 years as not only G.I. Joe's original commando in the Real American Hero 3 3/4-inch line of action figures, but as the best friend of one of the early pet characters to join the line. As a kid of the 80s, I can't let go of the original tale of the highly skilled and Arashikage-trained character who saw himself severely disfigured by an explosion that resulted in losing his ability to communicate verbally, but gaining his ability to always dress like the coolest ninja I ever saw, and befriend an actual timber wolf creatively named Timber. If you ask me if the friendship started before joining G.I. Joe or after he was exposed to radiation to save the rest of his team, I'll say it doesn't matter because he's friends with a wolf. After dozens of action figure variants and counting several movie appearances, including a solo Origins film named after himself, video games, comic books, and basically any type of entertainment-related products themed toward children you can imagine, this character has cemented his role as perhaps the favorite and easily most popular character of all of G.I. Joe. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects. Remember, I'll be posting new videos at least twice a week, if not more. If that sounds of interest to you, please click that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. In this episode, we are taking a closer look at the Hasbro 6-inch scale G.I. Joe Classified series, Snake Eyes and Timber. The Angry Timber. Hey everyone, welcome back, and here we have it, our Snake Eyes and Timber, the Angry Timber 2-pack. Very excited about this because this is my first Snake Eyes figure that I get to set free with the Classified series line, so I'm excited to be able to do this with you because this is what this whole channel is about, going on this journey together and getting to experience this stuff for the first time. But here we go, looking at these renders on the back, very cool. So we've got some green in these pants there to match the like the sash that we saw that came with Sergeant Stalker, very similar. But yeah, very cool. Very excited. Look at all these weapons. I mean, of course, Snake Eyes comes with a lot of stuff, a lot of weapons. But Timber with the 2 heads, that I am excited about. We do have the skills and abilities and the rankings on that here. We also have it on the side, as usual, right? And we are on number 52. Could we call it the G.I. Joe New 52, maybe? Hey? Yeah? Okay. So we got artwork on the side that comes over around this corner to have this full display, the aurora up in the sky. It's just absolutely beautiful, right? I mean, I've said it many times, but it's if there's any exchange or trade for not being able to see the actual figure, is this beautiful works of art. At least they've done something great with these covers, you know, something that's fun to look at. I completely understand wanting to be able to see the figure. Speaking of, let's take a look at said figure. Enough talking about the covers, right? That's what we have plenty of time to sit and look at if we have it displaying on our shelves. But let's see what they look like. So here, first popping it open, right? There's our cardboard, as usual, holding our people. Aw, Timber looks like he's sleeping on his side. We're gonna set those guys to the side because we always start with the plenty packs of weapons and accessories that come with it. So here we go. It's that typical weapons crate that we see. It's got their names on it with a little keypad. This end up, as I flip it over, 52 on the top to show that number yet again of the collection. 2 pieces of tape holding this on, which is also known as the passcode that we enter right there. You spell tape twice and that does it. But don't tell anybody, that's a secret. Okay, so in there we have 1 bag, right? 1 bag of accessories. That's probably at least a Timber head. And then several, so 4 pieces of cardboard holding weapons. Some have some pieces, kind of some pegs, or a peg sticking out right there. There's our pamphlet, and that is an empty box. So I'm going to shift that to the side here. And let's, as usual, start with the bag and see what we've got in this little bag of tricks. I'm guessing just like normal with the classifieds, I've noticed a lot of times if it's this type of bag, we got to open it, right? Like a bag of chips or what have you that comes in a small bag like that. I'm going with chips because, you know, salt and vinegar chips for the win. Hopefully everybody will agree with that. I know it sometimes is a very polarizing taste, but we're not here to talk about chips. We are here to talk about figures, and look at all this stuff that came in this. So we've got 2 extra hands for old snake eyes, right? No extra paws, from what I can tell. We've got looks like a quite, for the lack of better description, a chopping hand, right? So he's ready to do a ninja chop. And then we've got one holding a throwing star, so ready for action. I appreciate this, right? So what a great option to have. One thing that stands out, kind of seems like there's a little bit of a gray on that, but if I flip it over, you know, it doesn't seem like it's perfectly covered on there, but it is such a dark gray, it's kind of hard to tell that it was even done. I kind of would expect a throwing star to be a little bit brighter, but at least something seems like it was done to it. So very cool with the hands. Here is our little sash, that green in color, which, yeah, from a quick glance, looks like it matches on the pants. We will compare those side to side. Similar to what we saw with Stalker, right? I'm curious if this might be the identical piece. I would not be surprised. It seems like a reasonable bit of reuse. I mean, it's a coverage of a gear thing, right? So there we go. It's got that same texture, same rubbery material, same color with the pieces coming off of it. The fringe, if you will. Let's take a look at, here's our angry timber head. Little, you know what, I'm going to shift to manual on this one. For some reason, it just never likes to catch a face. Maybe it's intimidated. Or you know what, maybe we've got it just a little too washed out. Let's bring the lights down for this so we can see Timber's masterfully sculpted head a little bit better. Look at that. Can you imagine being in the woods and seeing that face greet you? Maybe not hanging on a wall, which it almost looks like this is probably going to happen maybe in some collections, but look at that. Look at, I mean, so well done, so well painted. The claw marks across the eye and across the snout. You can just some battle damage because, I mean, Timber's not one to run from a fight. And of course, if you get in a fight, every now and then you're going to end up hurt, even if you always win, even if you always walk away. But we've got the nose well painted right there. It's even kind of shiny, right? So it's got like the almost the wet nose look, especially with underneath that little bit. It's almost like a matte paint underneath there. You know, we could attribute it to say that maybe the lip is curled up just a little bit more. It almost looks like it's not level, like this one comes down a little farther. It could be paint, it could not. But we've got black paint over here, which goes underneath some of the pink for the gums. Can you see that? Oh man, we go, you know, a little bit of a missed mark, but I like that it's a little uneven here because it gives more of a snarl. It almost looks like this eye is slightly more closed than that one. I could just be making that up because I want to say that it's snarled more in that direction. But we've got gums showing there. The black line comes around. The teeth are painted pretty well with decent sculpting in between them. And then the mouth has some good pink in there. So I mean, when you're looking at a wolf face for an action figure, I think they did a great job on that. And the texture carved into the fur, fantastic. We'll be able to look closer at the full-on dog himself in just a little bit, but let's get through these weapons real quick. So here is a nice knife. Let's bring the lights back up for it. Okay, so here's a nice knife that comes with him. Since all these things are cast in black, so it doesn't really seem like we have any kind of washes on there, but we do have good detail, right? So the two points, the little maybe rivets or whatever on the handle right there, we've got those in the little serration of pain. And I just like the curved shape to it. Here is a handgun, right, with a slight extender or what have you on it. So there we go. And an extended magazine. So he is, I mean, it's Snake Eyes. He's always ready for action. So he's ready for lots of action and intense action. Again, very well designed, lots of detail in this weapon. All of these, of course, could stand to have that additional wash. And if I'm not mistaken, this is an Alley Viper gun, right? This is one that we saw come with the Alley Viper. Or there's been one that's been absolutely almost identical, very similar to it, but this looks like the new version of the one that came with the 80s Alley Viper. I still plan on doing an Alley Viper video just because it is probably my favorite G.I. Joe, even though it's been out for a long time. I just want to be able to, I got one, so, you know, I just want to be able to open it up together and take a closer look at it. But this looks like that gun that you can kind of see in the package. I appreciate that it has a removable magazine. So there we go. But hey, you know what? Hey, maybe he stole it from an Alley Viper, right? Of course he would win and be able to take whatever he wanted. But of course, why would he when he still gets his classic Snake Eyes model Uzi, right? This is the one time where I'm going to throw out the title because, I mean, it's Snake Eyes. He's always come with that. And how much more 80s can you get than the word Uzi, right? It seems like it was everywhere. But there we have it. extended magazine and all that jazz. It's just great to see that the good old classic is in his hands. Now he only gets one, so he can't dual wield. And we did also have this suppressor, which this has an opening for like a blast effect or something to insert it, but the suppressor looks like it is designed for something to be inserted into it. So there we go. See, it's a little bit different. And this does not have the opening on the end for any kind of blast effect. So it looks like it's ready for it. So if you have a steady hand and a nice drill, go for some customization. You know what? I was about to get ahead of myself because there was so much in that bag. There's still these cardboard pieces for me to go through. So let me hack those open real quick and let's get moving on this one to see what additional pieces we have with old Snake Eyes. Of course he comes with a lot of stuff. Of course he does. All right, so door number one, here is yet another automatic or semi-automatic rifle, right? With a removable magazine. Almost looks like it's the same magazine as comes with this. So we've got two of the same, so he's definitely ready to go. He's got plenty of reload capability, but this is another solid one. I mean, a very beefy one. It's got the opening here on the end for the blast effect. So there's that, check. Here's our sword. Of course it's in there. Yeah, look at that thing. Look at how wonderfully done that is. And you see the kind of the wavy detail sculpted into the handle. Almost looks like it's supposed to be a bit of a wood, right? So it would have been excellent to definitely see something in there, right? It could have been that black wood that has like the gray, the way that it's stained or colored, that has the gray grain in it, something like that. So this would have been an opportunity, if nothing else, to bring out that extra little bit on that, because this is the sword. I mean, come on. Okay. And then here, of course, you got to have something to store a sword in, and that was our peg that was sticking out because it's set to go on his back. There is the sheath for said sword, which has good detail on it. I mean, the way that this is sculpted, it's got a very leathery look to it. And then metal on the end, a little bit of brown has traveled over here onto the gray. It's kind of shining through because it was painted over top of the brown, it seems. Yeah, cast in the brown from what I can tell, or maybe even in black and then painted brown first and then silver over top. Yeah, I think that's what we've got going on here. But yeah, some of the silver didn't quite cover it. But you know, I do appreciate that little bit of extra detail. Would have been cool to see some red, right, on that for the symbol. But I guess we can't have everything, right? Maybe next time, right, Hasbro? Sure, there's going to be plenty more Snake Eyes and plenty more opportunities. And of course, we have a grappling gun. So yeah, you got to have it. If you're a ninja and you do all kinds of crazy stuff out in the wilderness, be prepared for everything. Snake Eyes is like the Batman of G.I. Joe, right? Is he supporting, does he have plot armor? I don't know. I didn't see that in the package, but I might have missed it. Okay, so let's just cut through this, all this tape and stuff to get Timber out of here. And I'm going to go ahead and cut through Snake Eyes. It's not like I'm going to put it back in there and try and turn it or anything. Okay, let's get Timber free. Need that to bust. There we go. And we'll pull him out first. Look at this beast. I mean, there is no denying that this is definitely a wolf, a timber wolf, and he's very curious about how silly I am about this this figure. Look at the articulation of this thing. I mean, I know when they were announcing Timber and showing the updated version, even the original version, they were highlighting the articulation, but I admittedly kind of didn't pay a lot of attention because I didn't expect there to be much. But look at this. We've got head. We've got some neck movement. Not a whole lot, but some. We've got in the waist of El Perro, the wolf. I don't know Spanish for wolf. The tail moves all around, so we've got a good rotation, right? It's kind of like the wrist movement. The legs, they go wide, they go back and forth, so decent movement on that. This is impressive. And then we've got some movement here at that joint, movement here, and then even foot articulation, right? And then the same thing. One rotation, a little bit of movement up and down here, movement up and down here, and then foot articulation. It is amazing what I imagine people are going to be able to do with the articulation of this wolf. Could you imagine if this had happened with the original one back in the 80s? How phenomenally groundbreaking this would have been. Right, so there it is. I mean, fantastic. Let's see how easy it is to Yeah, popping the head off, and very, very similar paint job, right? Just without the open mouth. See, so everything's very similar, and the eyes are a little bit wider open, so you can kind of see the treatment, the black with the yellow, but it actually looks almost more like it's a gold, just to help give it that little bit of extra shine. You know, like it's looking at you in the night, the lights are reflecting off of it. Evil, like a wolf, like a cat. I'm sure no wolf wants to be compared to a cat. Okay, there we go. And it went on. It didn't really give me much of a pop, so I don't know if I've got it all the way, but it was enough for the moment. But there we go. There is our angry timber wolf ready to go. And he stands up very easily by himself, like 3 legs even. That massive amount of articulation makes it so easy to get him to stand up. Now I'm curious, like with balance, can he stand on his hind legs? Okay, let's move on to old Snake himself and see what we got. Doesn't look like I've sliced enough to easily remove him, so we're just gonna pop from the back here, these little pieces. Okay, if that doesn't do it, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay, there we go. We got him out, so let's move this now empty tray with the great G.I. Joe star logo behind him. And there we go. Yes, and it does stand true. Look at the green on the pants. All about it. And this may have appeared in a previous version of him in the classified lines. But like I said, this is the first one that I have that I'm popping open to dig into. So happy to see that, especially with it matching that. Gotta love some good old costume coordination, right? Okay, let's check out some mobility of it. After we get a little bit closer view of this mask, I love this visor, right? It's so classic, so old school. We're not trying to do like the molded face or anything like that. It is truly just a helmet with a mask. You have no idea who is under that mask and what their face may look like, whether it's absolutely destroyed or whether it's Mr. Golding himself. Golding? I don't know how to pronounce it. All right, so let's check out the mobility of it. Okay, the neck is separate from the torso, so we do have that movement, and the head does have movement beyond just the neck. The neck does want to take over, right? So we have a little bit of head side to side, but if we include the neck, there's a lot to it, right? Up and down with the head, we do have that hinge in there, so the head itself does have the ability of moving up and down. The neck also wants to start taking the brunt in the movement, but we do have that hinge along with the ball up in there, so the neck will bring it forward like this, but then a little bit more effort and boom, we've got it all the way down, chin to chest, if you will. So sad snake eyes. But there we go. So that's good. That's great articulation, and I'm very optimistic in full Exorcist rotation. And it seems like the collar of his upper armor, this harness that he has on, stops the neck from doing the spinning, so the head is the one that does all the spins. Could you probably force the neck? It seems like you could, yeah, but I mean, you do it however you want to do it. It's going to be your figure. Butterfly joint right here. Shoulder does have the mobility of spinning around, doing the good old Bucky. Up and down, yeah, up and down is decent, if that's as far as we can go. I think that is as far as it'll go as far as up, but back is pretty good, right? That's not bad. There's the armor and stuff is just kind of getting in the way and does cause a blockage. And it does take a little bit of effort to get it to move up, so it probably takes maybe a little bit of use to get some wear. Bicep, tricep rotation, solid. Nothing interfering it, right? The shoulder's nice and round, so it's not doing that. We've got this piece that's kind of pressure placed on the bicep, tricep, the little cuff. Double elbow, which is pinned, so we don't have that updated version like we saw in the Outback, the Tiger Force Outback. No forearm rotation, but we do have wrist, which has the up and down for weapons holding, right? So this is a trigger finger. And we saw that there was another hand that could be replaced on that. And then the other arm has the same capabilities with that same pressure held pouch, little band right there. And then this wrist does have full rotation, and it's also a weapons hand, so it is also the up and down as far as the flexibility there. And then as you can see, he's kind of curled over on himself, so we do have, wow, look at that back. Of course a ninja's nice and flexible. So we've got 1, 2, 3, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4 positions of click on this one. So we do have 4 different positions for that ab crunch, or the mid-torso lower. Wow, look, oh my gosh, was that another one? So there's 1 position, 2 position, 3, 4, 5. So 5 different click positions as far as forward and backwards. So that is really impressive for articulation and for posing. We do have hip rotation, which is rubbing against the cast rubber green plastic, along with, yeah, this is cast dark gray, but there's a little bit of black painted right there. But as you can see, it does have a line that stops, probably at just the right spot so it doesn't rub against the bottom of the pants. So that's good to kind of prevent some rub, some wear. But yeah, it does force the pants to kind of flex a little bit, but they are that rubbery plastic, so they do have some give. The legs have what I always look for, the pull down and over, so that means we have got, he splits into the negative, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. That is, right? That is Arashikage flexibility right there. So he could Van Damme some trucks apart and do the limbo, right? So I mean, he's just ready for everything. It's Snake Eyes. What do you expect? Okay, so great flexibility on that. Doesn't even really force this part to have to bend. It does force the belt up slightly, which you can see is floating. Doesn't really have anything that kind of holds it in place. But we'll check and see if that's going to be any kind of hindrance here in just a minute. We do have upper thigh rotation, which does separate some of these parts. So the more it rotates, the more it kind of makes things do an odd overlap. We've got a sheath here on the thigh. Double knee, which gives, yet again, more great flexibility for that limbering up. So he's ready to go. He can hug his own foot to his side. And speaking of foot, we do have boot or calf rotation using that line of the boot. And we have the good old foot up and down and kakrek, the ankle breaker. Okay, and both sides are the same, so we have a holster over here, which also has room, it looks like, to hold our suppressor. Okay, so great. Now let's take a closer look at any kind of paint apps to see if there's any opportunities. Now the visor, I was praising the visor. It didn't really take too much time to point out that there's a little bit of silver travel underneath at the bottom there. I don't know if you can see it. Not a lot, right? So it's kind of, if you're looking at it straight on, you can't really tell unless you get super close. And the black here are imperfect, but imperfect at a very close distance. Most of this stuff is cast in whatever color it is. So a black plastic, actually, let's see. We have a dark gray plastic with some black paint on it, but the paint is applied so cleanly, it honestly almost looks like it's plastic. So there we go. Yeah, good job on that one. But then we've got a lot of cast, a little bit of green paint there, some black paint here for the forearm guards, and everything looks like it's really well applied, right? So it's simple, but not too simple, right? It's Snake Eyes quality. Here we've got some black that I think this has or is going to rub off very easily. You can kind of see the edges here where they're a little bit more raised, where this has probably already struck it and taken some paint with it. Because we do have, this is yet another, the floating, is it called a bandolier if you've got a bunch of grenades on it, or just a grenade strap? If you know the term, please throw it in the comments. Again, I do love learning. There's the Arashikage logo, but it's in black, so maybe I'll retract my statement of having the logo on the sheath in red. Maybe if it had been done in black, that'd have been good. Here's our floating belt. Doesn't really seem like it's going to be a hindrance. It could rub up against some of this black paint and eventually rub it off. I do have a mark right there, and pretty sure it wouldn't be from any kind of razor blade because it didn't go through the package that far. I don't think. Maybe it did. Who knows? But I feel like I would have done it right there because I was like around mid-center. But yeah, there is definitely a mark right there. I'll have to look at the package and see if I did it to myself. The mark I would believe to be a very rare thing. I don't really think that that's something that would show up whether I did it or not. These do want to slide down because they are pressure fit, and in just messing with it, right, one of the natural things that we hit is this area. So a lot of the loose things do kind of fly around. Now that being said, this can probably be strapped in a little bit better by putting the sheath in there, right? That might kind of help hold it in place, but it does still have a lot of front wiggle. This doesn't really have an opportunity to hold it other than just kind of keeping it pushed down there, maybe a little bit of a pressure fit. Let's pop the blade in there. Let's pop old handgun in there. Just love adding these accessories. And let's pop L's suppressor. So there we go. Right, so he can carry a lot of stuff, and then he does have 2 hands, right? So he can carry some more things in his hands. This is one of the few figures that I've seen where there's more stuff than they can actually carry, right? So we got several weapons here. And then, of course, we've got good old Timber. We'll get the weapons out of the way, and let's see how he's... There we go. Perfect. And they stand very well, very easily together. So there it is, our Snake Eyes and Timber, Angry Timber 2-pack. And we'll be right back with some 360 views of these fellas. And here we have them, Snake Eyes and Timber, the Angry Timber 2-pack, the more recent one that has come out. If you're on the fence about getting this one, this is yet another one that I'm thrilled about. This is my only classified Snake Eyes so far, so could not be more thrilled about it. I love the commando look of it with the green pants and everything. The amazing articulation of Timber, the masterfully crafted versions of both of these. So if you don't have one of the 2-packs already and you were thinking about getting this one, definitely get it. Highly recommended. If you want to double up, go for it. I don't think you'll be disappointed, okay? But there we go. So thank you very much. Well, that about does it. Thank you, as always, for checking us out and for joining on this collecting journey. We love having you here. Look for at least 2 new videos each week, if not more. If you got something from today's episode and you haven't already done so, please subscribe and click that like button. It really would help us out, and it would truly mean a lot to me. If you'd like to see some more videos, there are a couple of quick links on your screen right now for you to check out. But no matter what, as always, thank you for taking the time, and remember, we are all in this world of collecting together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.